For Black Friday, when you looked at the actual number of goods that were sold, there were less goods sold, but more money made because things are more expensive.
We don't know where that particular vessel was going.
That undermines.
No.
That
we know,
undermines
but
the
we
admin's
know,
entire
no, but
argument.
we know.
Inflation has gone up since Trump took office. Unemployment has gone up since Trump took office. A lot of the macroeconomic indicators that people rely on aren't doing too well.
Okay, I have a few clips from another CNN panel for us to jump into, more of Adam Mockler on it and destroying the MAGA Republicans, so leave us a like on the video if you can. We're trying to get to 30,000 subscribers, and let's just get right to the breakdown.
For Black Friday, when you looked at the actual number of goods that were sold, there were less goods sold, but more money made because things are more expensive. That's actually what happened on Black Friday.
Data, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Cyber Monday, 208 million people bought online because the algorithms on all the platforms were the best ever. $1 extra billion of revenue. I know that because my companies were part of that success.
Revenue does not
$1 billion
mean
more.
money saved, though.
And also, you can cherry pick
people.
one economic stat, but the fact is, inflation has gone up since Trump took office. Unemployment has gone up since Trump took office. A lot of the macroeconomic indicators that people rely on aren't doing too well. So yeah, you can cherry pick small things like this has gone down, but when you walk to the grocery store, beef is
cherry pick this. We're 40 points off an all-time high in history on the S&P 500.
We do
the
this
number one economy on earth. Are you kidding?
It's growing at a slower rate than it did under Biden.
This is hilarious capitulation because remember, under Biden, we had the strongest global recovery from COVID. Like in the entire world, the strongest economy, yet nobody in MAGA were pointing to either of those metrics. They were just pointing to the inflation. But now under Trump, as inflation goes up, as it's above the 3%, which is economically desirable, way above the 2%, which is the Fed target, who cares? Because we're the number one economy in the world, guys. It's pathetic. The economy is experiencing slower growth under Trump than it did under Biden. That's a problem. And it's really simple to explain. Less jobs are being produced, less wages are being paid, thus there is less money circulating the economy. Consumer spending is down, as they pointed out. Revenue is only up because the costs are up, but it's the spending you want because it's the exchanging of money between hands of consumer and business that allows for a taxation point, which is what further stimulates the economy. It's very simple macroeconomics, but MAGA just operates on vibes, so they probably don't know any of this and would reject it as woke liberal nonsense if they heard it.
There's this treadmill of conspiracy theories that people run on where there's always, it's like whack-a-mole. There's always a new conspiracy theory to pop down. But I think Dan Bongino's rhetoric, his conspiracy rhetoric, proves my point so perfectly about this MAGA ecosystem. So Trump told incendiary lies about an election that were proven wrong in 60 different courts. And then Dan Bongino has to run down the treadmill and find a different theory that actually this was like an inside job with Democrats doing this. I don't know. So there's always some excuse. And what do you think impressionable Americans who may have mental illness or may be distraught or have economic trouble, how do you think they respond to being gaslit by people in power, like the president, like Dan Bongino? These are lies being told to the American people.
Aren't you happy the man has been at least
Yes, of course.
Notice the switch here again from MAGA. After the pipe bomber stated openly he was motivated by Trump's 2020 election lies that failed in over 60 courts, have been widely disproven, had no merit to them and never did, where when Trump was shot, when Charlie Kirk was shot as well, oh, we have to demand accountability from the left for their rhetoric that caused this. Despite our rhetoric not causing it, they were never able to even connect those things, but we had to take accountability. We had to answer for it on every show we went on for 3 months. But now, when someone directly states their motivation was the political rhetoric from Trump, which was lies, which we know he knowingly spread as false information, well, let's just be happy that we caught the guy and not talk about it. Fox News isn't talking about it. Nobody's talking about it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's why these conspiracy rabbit holes are dangerous, right? It may start with one that seems more mundane, but then it opens you up to this world where you soon find yourselves believing claims with no evidence that gradually become more insane and insidious and could lead you to do something like this person did.
We don't know where that particular vessel was going.
But that undermines.
No.
That
We know,
undermines
but
the
we
admin's
know,
entire
no, but we
argument.
know that the terrorist organization that had the boat, that had the drugs on it, that was hit,
one of the
is a designated terrorist group.
One of the administration's primary arguments was that these boats were an imminent threat to the United States.
They are. They're killing 5,000 Americans a month.
They're not headed to the United States.
The drugs are killing 5,000 Americans a month.
I want to pose this question. So the Coast Guard said earlier that 212 ships were intercepted with no deaths. That means we do have the ability to do this. 25% of those ships had no drugs. Are you okay with striking boats with no drugs?
Listen, the Coast Guard is patrolling off the coast of the United States.
Are you okay with a 25% chance?
Okay, let's just again be clear because they're trying 50 different ways to spin this. Under the UN Charter, you could look at at Article 2.3, 2.4, even Article 51 touches on this. You can't just willy-nilly make targets in international water and then bomb them. There are hoops to jump through. There needs to be an imminent threat. There are layers of identification. There has to be attempts to subdue or get rid of the threat without violence, without death, right? Bombs and more, right? Where now what they're saying, this is from the Trump administration, right? They don't know if the boat was ever even coming to the US. And we know when it was struck, it wasn't even heading here. So that wasn't the destination. So there's no way you could justify this as self-defense or a good strike, where again, even if it was coming here, the boat would have had to fuel up over 20 times to get here. We've subdued multiple boats. Adam pointed to over 200 without violence. We're just killing people to kill people. It's so clearly a violation of international law. It's so clearly a war crime. And again, to Adam's point, for this specifically, we've struck over 20 boats. We've killed nearly 100 people. If we're talking about statistical probabilities where 25% of boats found by the Coast Guard had absolutely no drugs on them, well, then we're talking about likely over 5 boats that have been blown to smithereens with no drugs on them, 25 or more people potentially killed who were not drug traffickers. But we'll never know any of this because no information on these is being given. It's just, trust me, bro, from Trump and MAGA saying, well, he's the president, so he can do whatever he wants.